That was the moment on Thursday when he hit that opposite field home run, 110 backside. Like, oh, he is locked in. Like, this isn't just relying on pull power. This is being able to use the entire field to your advantage and hit it where it's pitched and hit it out. One Royal Way back at it here on Kansas City Sports Network. I'm Joel Penfield. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Royals are playing pretty good baseball right now. They won 5 of their last 6 games, won the first 2 in Tampa, a close 2-1 win on Monday, and just a bludgeoning 12-5. It was 12-2 in the ninth. They got a couple of runs off of Seabold, but hey, they're playing good baseball right now. They're finding a way, and they're doing it on the backs of a lot of their young guys. As the injuries have continued to pile up for this team, as we have talked about. I am not going to sit here and be prisoner of the moment and say the season's turning around. Like I'm been burned too many times believing that, but it has been good to see them in a lot of different ways and a few different guys trending in the right direction. If that does give you hope for this year, I understand, but it should give some hope for future seasons that the core of these young guys is really starting to take place. And there still is, there's reasons for optimism beyond this season from guys like Jac, Carter, Luinder Avila, who I'm going to talk about tonight as well, in addition to Bobby, Michael, and others. So lots to talk about tonight, so we'll go ahead and do that. The show, as always, brought to you by Emprise Bank. Remember, FDIC, our partners and possible here at Kansas City Sports Network. We can't thank them enough for their support over the last 5 years. And be sure to like, rate, subscribe, review here on all platforms. Hit those notification bells so you know when these episodes go up. You guys are hearing this on Wednesday. On Thursday, Royals Pipeline will have an episode up as well. Be sure to check that out because we're getting into draft season. The combine for Major League Baseball is happening right now. The draft will start on July 11th. So it's coming up here pretty soon. The Royals have a top 6 pick. Once again, the last time they drafted a guy at 6, it went pretty well with the way he's playing right now. So there's another guy that this team can add to a farm system that desperately needs some high-end talent. So we'll talk a little more about that over these next couple of weeks. So like as I mentioned, they won 2 of 3 against 2 of 3 against the Cardinals. And the offense really broke out in that series. They scored 14 runs on Thursday. I think they scored 6 on Friday, and they scored 10 in a loss on Sunday. But again, like the offense really, got going. They do have 9 runs in the first 2 innings. Kolek just did not have it, but the offense stayed in it, and they gave themselves a chance late. Didn't end up working out. They had the winning run at the plate in the 9th inning with 1 out, but ultimately nothing gets across. After I think they got 1 in the inning on a Cags home run, and then after that, tough to see. Win a close game and a 2-1 game. That is something that we just have not seen this team be able to do very often this season. That was kind of a staple of some of these teams over the last couple of years is winning these games that are 3-2, 2-1, and just finding a way, right? Sorry, if you're watching on YouTube, I've been fidgeting myself. I apologize. I got something in my eye. Okay, moving on. You win that game. Walker gives you 7 innings, a very Michael Walker type start. He's been great again. Schreiber with a great 8th inning, and then I think that was the first 1-2-3 Alex Lang 9th inning. And because when he's come in and saved games, he's gotten the job done, but it's been a little dicey. There's been some traffic he's had to work around, but a quick 1-2-3 inning with a strikeout, and you get out of there 2-1. And then today, they jump all over Shane McClanahan early. Back-to-back home runs by Nick Lofton and Jac Caglianone set the tone in the first inning, and they were kind of off and running after that. Just an all-around really solid offensive performance. A bunch of crooked numbers. It wasn't like it was over the course of the game, but 2 in the first, and then 4 in the 5th, and then 5 in the 8th. And to really break it open, it was 12 runs on 14 hits. Nick Lofton has a 4-hit game, and sneakily OPS over 800 now for Nick Lofton on the season. We talked about him quite a bit on Thursday on the last postgame show. That, listen, I'm not going to act like he's a world beater, that he's some, force to be reckoned with over the next, the course of the next few years, but a guy that is sneaky, turning himself into a guy that maybe able to play 4 days a week, as we go forward, as a bench guy that crushes lefties. He can play some outfield. He can play some third. Second base is obviously not ideal for him, but we're seeing him really start to hold it down at third with the injury to Michael, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. A couple of hits for Tyler Tolbert playing shortstop in Bobby's absence. Carter extended his hit streak to 14 games. We'll talk about him a little bit more later. Luinder Avila gives you 5 innings, pretty gritty. I mean, it was had traffic all over the place with some walks, but the strikeouts were really 6 strikeouts in 5 innings. Only gives up the 1 run, and they blasted Shane McClanahan, who in his last couple starts have not been great, but track record wise, he's been a really solid pitcher. Clean inning from Steven Cruz, clean inning from Matt Strahm. Really solid team win today. And just a really impressive performance. And they do this without 3 guys that, whether, believe it or not, are part of the score, right? Obviously the Bobby Witt Jr.'s and Michael Garcia, obviously, and then Vinny Pasquantino, who before this year track record, obviously has been, he's been a solid player for 2+ seasons. He's out for a while, hamate injury. Michael Garcia hits the injured list today. That hand injury that he had a week and a half ago or so, that they just kind of left him on the bench, let him kind of figure it out. That hasn't progressed, so they officially put him on the injured list of the left-hand muscle strain. They brought up Josh Rojas. I wish they would have just IL'd him, just my opinion. I'm obviously not a doctor, so I'm not going to sit here and say they very clearly should have done something, but just felt like a situation where if he's not comfortable swinging the bat, and they said, well, when he hits it on the barrel, it doesn't hurt. I'm like, well, but how often are we doing that? Like, you're going to foul balls off. You're going to hit stuff off the end. You're going to get jammed and hit one off the label. Like, it's not perfect. So if he is really dealing with that and swinging a bat as hard, and you need your hands as a baseball player, I feel like that's probably an opportunity where he could have gone on the injured list, and now he is. Hopefully it's just a 10-day and out, and it's just a feel thing, and he's got to figure that out. But hopefully he's able to get healthy. It does help elevate this offense, because he was swinging the bat fairly well prior to the injury. And they're doing this without Bobby Witt Jr., who we talked about on the Thursday postgame show last week, that he left the game with a knee injury. They said on Friday that it was a grade 1 MCL sprain. Quick Google search, that's about a 1 to 3 week injury. We're coming up on about a week now. As you guys are listening to this, it would be 6 days. He went through on-field stuff yesterday on Monday and today on Tuesday. Out of the lineup, they said he was available off the bench if the situation needed it. He's getting used to using a knee brace of some sort, and it sounds like it's not going to be an IL stem, which is pretty surprising. Because as I talked about, and Kevin and I talked about, if you go back and listen, like, I wish they, I said, just put him on the injured list, give him the 10 days, get healthy, and then he can come back, because I want to have Bobby Witt Jr. at 100% no matter what. And I know that 80% of Bobby Witt Jr. is still probably better than a good majority of the league. I just don't want to risk further long-term injury in a season where you're 12 games below 500 at this point, and you're still pretty well out of it, even if, maybe the wild card race suggests that you're in it. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but we'll see how he comes out of it. And maybe a week, kind of still just going through baseball activity, not going through the full rigors of day to day, just helps give him a little bit of a reset, and he's good to go. And if he's able to go on a tear, which would surprise nobody, then the Royals put themselves in a really interesting position, because the way Jac's swinging it, the way Carter's swinging it, the way Salvi has started to, see it a little bit more. 2-run double tonight, hit a home run in that the Cardinals series, nearly hit a couple more. this offense is really, it's been a top 10-ish offense in the league this month. And one of the reasons why they have not been still not winning a ton of games is, well, the pitching is taking a little bit of a step back, and some of that is injury related as well. And the biggest injury news on that front is Cole Reagans needs to have elbow surgery. It is that was announced today. The discomfort in his elbow came back on the 12th. He was transferred to the 60-day injured list this time last week. And they anticipate, the notes from Manny Rogers says, team anticipates a surgical procedure on his left elbow. But they didn't specify what it is or like what is needed at this time, but he is going to need some type of elbow surgery, and there's no timetable for a return. So what I'm going to place in my mind, and what I would suggest you guys do too, is run with the assumption Cole Reagans is not pitching for the 2026 Kansas City Royals again. Now, at least for now. We'll know more once he actually has a procedure done, then we'll be able to assess. But for now, I'm running with he will not pitch again for the rest of this season. And it's unfortunate. And it's unfortunately been the story of his career outside of the back half of 23 and then what he did in 24. But hurt most of last year, hurt for the majority of this season thus far. It's just unfortunate. And there were like this, he's not alone in this. There are plenty of guys that, have this sort of injury bug that they just can't shake. And he had it really early in his minor league career with 2 Tommy Johns, and now we're starting to see the elbow bark again. You hate it for the guy. You do, because the talent is immense. And when he is on the mound, he's a very, very good pitcher. So it's unfortunate, but we'll see what comes out of this, either end of this year or into next season, and then we can assess what the role is for him as we go forward. Take a quick break, and we're going to do a deep dive on Jac Caglianone once again. Talk Carter Jensen, talk Luinder Avila right after this.
David Starnes Allstate Insurance is a proud partner of KC Sports Network, serving the Kansas City area and all throughout the Midwest. If you are looking for new coverage or something that better suits your home, auto, health, or any of your other insurance needs, give Dave and his team a call. Elevate your coverage and be worry-free with David Starnes Allstate Insurance.
With Yucca Boom Color Bar, what we're offering is luxury color services, but we're doing it on our client schedules. Didn't want to feel like or be a traditional salon. We wanted it to really feel like something completely different, especially for the Kansas City area. What we were trying to do was trying to find a brick and mortar that we could put a salon in, and it got complicated. And so what we ended up doing was pivoting, and we went into like a business acquisition mode where we were gonna find a hair salon and then we were gonna turn it into what we wanted to do. And Emprise was 100% behind that.
Like, we didn't just have a contact, we had a team, and they cared. And
we never sat in limbo at all with Emprise. They pushed us through, they helped us, support us. And not only that, but they've been our biggest cheerleaders since the day one.
Everybody who wanted our money, it was very difficult. It was very challenging part of it. But the people who were giving us the money, Emprise Bank, that was the easiest part. So we will always be grateful to Emprise.
I'm Cricket.
I'm JC.
And together we're the owners of Yucca Boom Color Bar.
Come see us at Park Place.
You know that moment, the one when you realize you left your favorite sunglasses at the beach or on the roof of your car or at the gas station 3 states away. Well, I've been there too. But then I found Shady Rays, and it changed the game. These sunglasses are made for real life. Seriously good-looking, polarized, durable, and not stupidly expensive. And here's the wild part. If you lose them or break them, even on day one, Shady Rays will send you a brand new pair. No guilt trip, just replacements. So now I actually wear my sunglasses without fear, on hikes, at concerts, on the boat, wherever. They have sunglasses for golfing, fishing, hiking, and biking, even sunglasses for kids. Shady Rays is eyewear that has your back. Go to shadyrays.com and use code KCSN for 40% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. So Jac Caglianone just stayed on a heater, guys. And it seems like it ain't slowing down. 2 more home runs tonight, 9 home runs on the month. And gone from, 5 homers and 11 RBIs in the month of March, April, and May, right? 5 homers, 11 RBIs. In this month alone now, He has 9 homers and 19 RBIs. The weighted runs created plus is, it was 228 2 days ago. It's probably up over 240 now. And then on the season, just the season-long numbers and 281 plate appearances, it's 277, 349, 498. Nearly a 500 slug at this point, with a 132 weighted runs created plus. This is like it is very obvious to say the breakout is happening, right? We talked about that last week. And what's crazy is it feels like he's just scratching the surface. Like there is more in there for him to reach, which is an insane thing to think about, as we go forward. And just a quick search on Baseball Savant or on Fangraphs, that put him as like a top 40 hitter in the league over the course of this season. Now takes him from 51 up to 36, 37. He's Bryce Terran, Otto Lopez, he's just creeping up on Junior Caminero, who hit a home run tonight as well. And he's not slowing down. This is a hot stretch. So he's not going to be a 370 hitter for the next 3 months. That's essentially what he's been in the month of June, making a very strong case for AL Player of the Month with what the offense that he is providing. But so much of what he is doing is, to me, sustainable. And the strikeouts are starting to come down as well. It's like a quarter of his plate appearances instead of nearly a third, like it was, for stretches of this season. He's more comfortable walking. He's mashing the ball against lefties, which is a significant piece to this. The next real step is being able to walk against left-handed pitching, but that's picking nits at this point because of what he's able to do when bat meets ball. The results speak for themselves in that regard. And it's the adjustments pitch to pitch within at-bats that is impressive for me as well. There are times where he takes a shot, right? Like there is a certain element of hitting that is guesswork, even if you have a plan, right? Like your plan is, okay, I know this guy throws fastballs early in the count. If I read fastball out of hand, I'm going to swing. Oh, that was a curveball, and that was curveball down in the dirt. Okay, hey, reset. And then he makes the adjustment and then finds a way to drive a ball to left center or hit battle with 2 strikes and work a walk. He hung the curveball. Okay, let's hit that into the fountains. We're seeing those things start to come into place. And that adjustment to me shows, okay, he's locked in. Like he's starting to figure out. He's not thinking as much. Because what would happen last year, and this is something that Jac's talked about, and I think this is a great moment of self-awareness and why I still believe there's more in there. As he talked about, I focused too much on the negative last year, which is something I've kind of alluded to on the show. Like the guy had failed for probably the first time in his life playing baseball, and it just spiraled on. He would have those swings at a pitch way out of the strike zone, and the at-bat would be over. Especially like if it was the first pitch and he chased a changeup down, the at-bat was done. Whether it wasn't going to result in a hit. It was going to be a weak ground ball or it was going to be a strikeout. And that was so much of the results last year. This year, you see him be able to flush it and move forward and still put together a good plate appearance. Even if he strikes out, maybe he saw 7 pitches that at-bat. Like you see more of that. You're also seeing him now where he's just hammering mistakes. They showed a spray chart on the broadcast where his home runs are. They're all in the middle, right? Like middle away, middle in. And the mark of a good hitter is just doing damage and making a pitcher pay for making a mistake. It's not the total mark, but it's one of, right? Because hitting is still very hard. 99 down the middle is not the most hittable pitch on the planet. It is not a guaranteed knock. But he's finding ways to do that now. Like today, 2 at-bats against Shane McClanahan. Flipped him over a breaking ball 0-1. It hung, and Jac hit it over the scoreboard off the catwalk in right field. 435, my ass. That was 460 or more. Just absolutely hammered. And then later in the game, McClanahan the next time was throwing him away, and I'm striking him out. But it was very clear I'm not throwing him anything in his happy zone. Like in middle in, I am going away and see if he'll get himself out. And then he got a first pitch fastball right down the middle and hits a line drive, like frozen rope, much like the home run he hit in Cincinnati at the beginning of the month that sort of started this, and hits it over the left center fence for another home run. The power to all fields has come for him. Like, yes, we know the pull power is special. We saw that on Sunday at Kauffman against the Cardinals, hitting a ball to the upper tier of the fountains. And then he hit another one into the fountains on late in the ninth inning against O'Brien. And those two, again, and I think what's also impressive is that he's not doing all of his damage just against fastballs. Like, not just cheating to it and then doing it, right? Dustin May flipped over a changeup, first pitch, and it hung up a little bit, but Jac was ready. And I think some of that is just having a plan, right? And being able to stick to a plan, but then also be able to adjust. And one thing we saw from last year was very fastball oriented. From what I remember about last season and watching his at-bats, was he was so geared up for heat that if it was a breaking ball or it was a changeup and he recognized strike going to swing, his front side was, his backside was gone. Like everything was on his front side leaning, and then it was a weak ground ball. His ability now to stay back on these pitches and drive and use his legs and use his power on anything now. And that was it was a hanging changeup into the fountains. Riley O'Brien flipped over a slider, 0-0, gone. Fastballs away. Now he's hitting him to left center. And that, to me, that was the moment on Thursday when he hit that opposite field home run, 110 backside. Like, oh, he is locked in. Like, this isn't just relying on pull power. This is being able to use the entire field to your advantage and hit it where it's pitched and hit it out. That, to me, was like not the final form, but just, man, he's really, really seeing it well right now. And there's going to be adjustments, right? Pitchers are going to adjust to what he's doing right now. He is on an absolutely insane heater right now. But he has to continue to grow. And I think there's going to be adjustments he's going to have to make. But I have full confidence that he's going to, because he's done it in his career so far. Right? Like even last year, like you saw some moments there in August and September as he was starting to figure it out a little bit. Like it obviously didn't show up on the back of the baseball card, but you could see the little moments. And then in spring training, you saw little moments. In the WBC, you saw it April, May, you saw it in spurts. And then it's just, bam, it's all come together now. And it reminds me of Bobby, his second year. They are not the same player. I'm not comparing them to. But April, May, you saw it all start to really come together that second year. And then in June, he took off and turned into what we know now that Bobby Witt Jr. is. Jac Caglianone, very similarly, has turned into that guy. And I couldn't be more impressed with what I'm seeing. He's going to get legitimate consideration for the home run derby, as he should. You don't have to be an all-star to go and be in a home run derby. As Jason Anderson mentioned to me on Monday, O'Neal Cruz was in it last year. He was not an all-star. But the guy hits bombs. That is a StatCast darling. Jac Caglianone provides that. Like, you want to put on a show, Jac can obviously do that in the home run derby. And I think he would be pretty close to a betting favorite to win that. I've watched that guy hit BP. In non-power rounds, he's flipping balls over the left center fence. You give him an opportunity like that, and with the format changed now to where it's not just swing and swing and swing and swing, they've gone back to amount of pitches or amount of outs. That changes the math on it as well, and I think it benefits a guy like Jac as well. In addition to that, start voting that guy for the All-Star game. The numbers are starting to get there now to where it is legitimate. I know the RBIs are not going to necessarily be in his favor because he was in the bottom of the order for so long, but now that he's hitting 3, we're starting to see that pop up, and the home runs are obviously a reflection of that as well. But Bobby, if he's healthy, he's going to be starting the All-Star game at shortstop. He should. I don't believe there's going to be another guy. I thought Waka maybe would get consideration, but he had some rough outings. I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the case. John Schreiber, I don't believe will, even if he's pitched like it for about 2 months now. Daniel Lynch maybe gets some consideration as a left-handed reliever, but that's always tricky because that's not a fan vote. That's totally, a coaching staff vote. But baseball wants to put on a show. You probably need to ride the hot hand if you're Major League Baseball and find a way to get Jac Caglianone into this thing, because he's certainly playing like that guy right now. Another guy that's playing really well, and another young guy that this team is starting to rely on, is Carter Jensen. And he went through a lull there for a little bit, and you went out. This is kind of a rookie wall a little bit. I talked about some of that at the end of April, beginning of May. But ever since the calendar flipped to June, it seems like everyone kind of flipped a switch when the calendar hit June. And Carter Jensen is now riding a 14-game hitting streak in June, dating back to June 6th. I tweeted last week, a little fun with small sample, like, oh, hey, he's having a good little week here. But it's continued. And this is also he had a 4-hit game with a walk. I think it was a triple shy of the cycle in Washington. The day game there, hit a home run backside on that Sunday game where the ball was just flying at Kauffman Stadium. He's hitting, and this was coming into tonight. He had another 1-for-4 game. He had a 1-for-4 game yesterday, 1-for-4 with the game-winning RBI on Monday. Coming into today, 365, 397, 673 slash. So 670 slug. My goodness. 184 weighted runs created plus coming into action on Tuesday. It hasn't updated yet. 3 homers in this stretch, 12 RBIs. I think he's leading the team still at 40. And the biggest thing for me is the strikeout rate's coming way down, which has been awesome. It's 15.5 during this stretch. Walk rate's at about 7%. Like that to be a little bit higher, but he's not striking out. So I'm willing to do that. And he's putting the ball in play and putting the ball in play hard. So, that kind of is what it is. But what's great is that what Carter is doing, it's just the adjustments. And Jack Johnson posted a picture on June 6th. He, looks like he put his hands a little bit higher and kind of preset them a little bit. So it's a little less here to that audio medium as well. Great. Like his hands were moving kind of like down and back. And now he just kind of presets them up around his ear. And it seems like that's how quiet some of this for him. Quieter hands. I'm always about that being an adjustment, especially for young hitters. And that seems to have paid off for him as well. And he's got his weighted runs created plus up to 100. So he's a league average hitter again. It had dipped around to 80 before this hitting streak. He's up now 1 win above replacement. We're starting to see the strikeouts trend down. It was north of 30 for a little bit. It's 27 now. The walk rate is around 9%. We're starting to see that trend back. The slash for the season is 244, 313, 431. So about a 740 OPS for Carter Jensen right now. And if you had told me in April that Carter Jensen was going to have a 740 OPS in June and Jack was at 850, which is where he ended up for the game, or at the end of this game, my apologies, I would have said, how many games are the Royals above 500? And they're 34-46. There's been a slew of other issues. And those guys, kind of took their lumps there for a little bit as well. But we're starting to see those two guys round into form. And I think it's good to see these guys being at the forefront of the stretch, of this 5 of 6 stretch that this team is currently on. Because it would be one thing if those guys were doing fine and Bobby was at the forefront of this. It would obviously be good, but I think we'd be viewing it through a little bit of a different lens. For me, this is not necessarily about 2026 as much as it is about 2027 and beyond. That these guys can be counted on, these guys can be relied upon, and they are a part of a very, a potentially bright future. That they are part of this offensive core that can help drive this thing forward and get this team back to the playoffs. You have a core right now, Bobby, Carter, Jack, and Michael. Like, that's how I view it right now. I think Vinny's still in there. I will be last off the train when it comes to Vinny Pasquantino. But that group can help drive this thing forward. And there's still some holes they need to fill, but you got your shortstop, you got your potentially first base, right field, or DH, however you want to handle it. You got your third base, and you got your catcher, right? Like, you got 2/3 of your up the middle vein. Got to figure out center field. Is it still Kyle Isbell, or what's that going forward? Like, there's still so many questions on the roster in other areas. I don't need to get into that right now, but do you have a group of position players that you feel good about that are a part of your present and a part of your future right now, and they're all really young? Like, Michael's 25, Bobby's 25, Carter's 22, Jack's 23. And 3 of those guys are hitting 1, 2, 3 for you on any given night, especially against righties. Carter's leading off, Bobby's hitting second, Jack's hitting third. And that 3 has played it really well right now. A lot of credit to be given there. I talked a little bit about this earlier. Luinder Avila. Back-to-back, pretty solid starts. Well, he was awesome against the Nationals on that day game. Where in that game, he gives you, where's that stat line? He gives you 5 2/3, 3 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. And then in this game, he gets through 5. Pitch count was elevated early, and that it's kind of set the course for it a little bit. But 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, this time 4 walks, 6 strikeouts. So that's the thing he's got to get down. And I think we all know that about Avila, but that's something that young pitchers go through, especially as they're trying to figure it out at the big league level. And the thing that is just abundantly clear to me is the stuff plays at the big league level. Like, so clearly. The fastball, 95 to 97. He's working the slider over. He's starting to get the feel for the changeup. He still hasn't ball. It's a weapon. And there's natural cut ride to his four seam that is incredibly intriguing. That I almost want him to just Corbin Burns lean into that, because the fastball shape itself, just the true four seam, is not great. It can be kind of flat, and when that cut, that natural cut is just in the center, it runs right into the barrel for left-handed pitching. Or it can just, if it's in, it can kind of run into the barrel for righties as well if it kind of leaks back over the plate. So one thing that would be intriguing for me, and I'm not a pitching coach, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend like this is like a perfect comp, but it was something I noticed in Minnesota, and I noticed it a little bit in I noticed the last couple of starts is just the angle of the pitch, the camera behind home plate, how much natural cut that he gets on his fastball. I talked about this with my buddy Alex Duvall, who World's Farm Report. We've been great friends for years, and he said he should lean into that. And I was like, I kind of had a similar thought, so I wanted to give Alex credit there for actually putting a word to it, right? Like a player comp, because if he's going cutter, sinker, slider, curve, change, he gives you that 5-pitch mix where nothing is just flat and straight. Like, you got the ability to get the ball under the barrel for lefties. You got a sinker that can get under the barrel of righties. And then you have a couple of breaking balls on a couple different planes you can flip over with the changeup that plays arm side with the sinker. It's a really intriguing mix, and a guy that's figured it out and is going to continue to get run. Like, he and Kolek are going to get run moving forward, because who knows when Chris Bubich comes back, or if he's traded. Who knows when Cole Reagans comes back. Who knows what the rotation looks like at the beginning of August, with the potential of a Michael Wacha and or Seth Lugo out the door if the Royals decide to sell. And I have been a proponent of Luinder Avila is a reliever. And long-term, he still might be. I am not punting on that take. But what I have seen from him as a starter, I see the vision. Like, I understand why the Royals felt so strongly that Luinder Avila is a starter. We view him as this. But there were innings that we needed out of the bullpen last year. That's why he came up. We needed outs in the bullpen in April and in May. And we still need outs, but that's a whole nother conversation. So we put him back in the bullpen. Oh, okay, now we need him to start. And he kind of got jerked around there for a little bit. It's the same sort of thing that happened with Daniel Lynch a little bit. And that outing against the Astros was just a confluence of he didn't have his best stuff. Maybe a guy that has been jerked around a little bit, and it just all kind of caught up to him. But since then, last couple of outings, he's gotten it sorted out. The command still needs to refine. But I know the stuff works because he gets swing and miss even with that. Even on his days where, like today, where he very clearly did not have his best stuff. Like the best command, I should say. He still was getting swing and miss. He was still getting strikeouts. He got a huge strikeout. I want to say it was the third inning. He had first and third, second and third with one out. Punched out back-to-back guys to get out of the inning. Punched out the catcher, the 9-hole hitter, and then got Yandy Diaz with an elevated fastball to end the inning. I was like, man, what a moment there for, be it when you need a strikeout, be able to go get it. This rotation doesn't have a ton of that right now. With Cameron being much more pitch to contact guy, Seth Lugo certainly is that 6 innings, a 2-run ball with no strikeouts on the Friday against the Cardinals. Kolek has his moments where he has the strikeout stuff, but really that's not his game, and then Walker not either. So you have a bunch of pitch to contact guys that sometimes that they get burned, trying to be too fine and try and get strikeouts. Then but it hit, not enough ability to get swing and miss. He has that ability. He has the ability to go and get a strikeout per inning, per start. And he's done that the last couple of outings. I hope to see that continue, and maybe he really is a part of the future of this rotation. I am always willing to be wrong on a guy, right? In my evaluation of that, and me trying to say Luinder Avila is a reliever is not an insult. I think there's plenty of value in high leverage relievers, especially in today's game. But if he can be a starter mid-rotation, there's plenty of value in that as well. I don't necessarily know if he's a 1. Maybe he's like a low tier 2, but I think he's like a high tier 3. If he's that, there's plenty of value in that. And he could seriously have some potential as we go forward. I'm very excited to watch what this looks like for him for the rest of this season. And just on a different note here, I would just like to point out that Lane Thomas has a 102 weighted runs created plus. Found that to be interesting. Well, I guess after today he went over 597, but still he's around 100. For a guy that kind of took some beatings on social media from Royals fans, he's actually been a pretty good player. He does his job, hits lefties. He's the defense is not stellar in center field, but it's been good in the absence of Kyle Isbell. And Meisner's taking a little bit of pressure off of him as well, but he walks. He doesn't strike out a lot. The power started to come for him as well. He's got 5 home runs now on the season after having 4 last year, 15 year before. So that may be another guy that you may get a little more than you think for at the trade deadline. It's another name to watch. I mentioned a little bit about Nick Lofton, and this is just some, quick little hitters here. 4-hit game tonight, first time in his career. In 149 plate appearances, which is not a small sample, Nick Lofton has a 121 weighted runs created plus. The OPS is sneaky high. It's around 8. I think it's low 800s. Slashing 264, 358, 448 on the year. I don't expect a 120 weighted runs created plus the rest of the year. But even coming into tonight's game, it was 107, right? For a guy that was, kind of a limited playing time just against lefties, has been kind of thrown into a greater role. And now, I continue to be intrigued because as the sample grows, he's still doing his job. He's hit lefties. He's been great with runners in scoring position all year long. Starting to see the power come for him a little bit more now. Like he looks confident turning and burning on fastballs, especially against lefties. I'm enjoying what he's doing, and even if he's not proven to be any everyday guy, as we go forward, guy that can play multiple times a week, and play him in a few different positions. He's going to hit lefties. You can put him in a platoon at second, put him in a platoon at third, in the outfield, however you want to do it. And that's a way to carve out a heck of a big league career. So, Kansas City and beyond, like Nick Lofton's going to be around for a while in some capacity. And I think he's really settled into that type of role. I don't think he's an everyday guy. He's kind of having to do that right now due to injury, but he's figuring it out, and I'll be curious over the larger sample. Okay, does he seriously get exposed as an everyday guy, or is his ability to avoid strikeouts, walk, be able to pull the ball a little bit now, pull the ball in the air, if he's able to sustain this to some degree, which then makes you have to reevaluate his role, and he's more than just what I said, a couple times a week guy. Maybe he is a close to everyday guy that can turn into maybe 70 or 80% of what Wood Merrifield was and hit his peak. It would be something intriguing to watch. So there's going to be basically 5 games between now and the next time we record. The Royals have 2 more in Tampa, 4-gamer there, and then they head to Chicago for 3. Sunday night will be the next post-game show, or Sunday afternoon after that game is over. Wednesday, it's going to be another 5:40 first pitch. Noah Cameron against Griffin Jax, who it seems like the Rays are turning into a reliever, or from a reliever into a starter. So that'll be kind of interesting to watch. Thursday, 11:10 a.m. first pitch in Kansas City Central Time. So don't miss it there. Take a little early lunch break and turn on the game. Seth Lugo on the mound against Ian Seymour. That'll be another lefty there. And then Friday, I don't think we have any probables yet, and it's going to be kind of interesting. But I imagine that is going to be Kolek, Waka, and then Avila. The potential, I think that will be the way that is going to work. So, still, listen, they have a chance here, right? Like I've beaten this boxing analogy into the ground, no pun intended, but like the ref was getting ready to stop the fight and they opened their eyes and sat up, right? I think that's kind of where we're at right now. You're 34-46 and 5.5 games out of a wild card spot. Like, it may seem over, and I'm not going to be prisoner of the moment and say they're back. But they are playing baseball well enough right now that if they sustain this for another couple of weeks, the conversations get interesting as we head into July. And that's all I'm hoping for. I just want this thing to be interesting. I want this thing to stay interesting so that it's not just all about next season for the rest of the year. And so you guys still pay attention and watch and aren't locked in solely on Chiefs training camp as we get into July, even though I know that's, hey, that's part of this thing. I understand. Thank you guys very much for listening tonight. Like, rate, subscribe, review, leave 5-star review on the audio side as well. And we will talk on Sunday afternoon after the final out of White Sox Royals from Chicago from the South Side. And we'll talk soon. Have a great one, everybody. Take care.